Hi, Miss Deb here, and today we are going to learn how to make paintings like the Impressionist artists. So they had used a certain kind of techniques, but mostly they used oil colors, and at that time they prefer to sit outside and paint whatever the season may be. So they painted the same things again and again in different seasons, in different lights. They tried to capture how the same thing looked different in different time of day, different seasons, in the morning, at night. So you will see if you go to Monet's art, if you see Monet's artwork, you will see he painted the same thing again and again. He tried mostly to use pure colors. The way he got all the different colors is a technique called stippling. So he layered pure colors on top of the other. So first he'll start up with the lighter colors, and then he'll slowly build up with the other colors. But the colors on top would have enough gaps in them so you could see the background color through those gaps. So here are some examples of how the end product might look like. Here lots of pure colors have been used, and they have been layered with the stippling technique. So you can also use like hatching, cross hatching, or some pure colors like next to each other and side by side. But since we cannot use oil, I will show you two different techniques, one with a watercolor and the other one with oil pastels, which is a dry medium. You can use crayons or markers too, but you can still use the same techniques of coloring them. I'm going to start painting from the top of my picture. So you can see top of my picture I have sky, and I'm going to do the backgrounds first, and then before that I'm going to put the colors in the front later. In watercolor, what you're gonna do is, because the paper is thick, you can put a lot of water in it. I'm starting from the top of my paper with this, where the sky is. In watercolor, you do not have to paint around trees or anything, because whatever goes on top of the sky will show up later because they are of darker colors. So always put the background thing all together and go over your drawings, and you'll believe me, you'll trust me, you will end up looking good. So first finish up doing the sky, and you see first I put a very lighter shade of blue, and on top of that I did the stippling technique with the darker shade of blue. And now I'm mixing the colors, the green colors on the color palette. Now one tip I will give you, please do not use the pure green that you get in your watercolor palette. In nature, you will very rarely see such vibrant greens. I would like to see lots of different shades of greens, and you know how to make shades of greens, right? By mixing yellows and blues. Sometimes you can use a little bit of brown in it, sometimes some other colors, and figure out, how it ends up looking with all the different shades of greens that you might get. So here I have finished the sky, and now I'm doing the horizon. For watercolor techniques, when you finish drawing, please make sure all the extra pencil lines are erased, because watercolor is transparent. All your lines would show up. Also try not to press too hard in your watercolor, because the paper is so poofy. Even if you manage to erase all the pencil lines, it makes a groove, and when you paint with water, what it does is it goes and accumulates in that groove, and it accentuates your lines that you have already erased. I have put darker shades or duller shades of green at the back, and I am putting brighter shades of green in the front. So that is to create distance. Now I'm starting to do the details in the front. So I'm painting the trees. I can still see the lines through my painting, so I know where the trees are. In the background, the trees are small, so I have not drawn them, all of them. So I'm going to do it directly with paint. You just see that even if I put brown first, I'm experimenting with colors to see how they look with different kind of colors. For the dark areas, I am putting blue on top of my brown, and it is making a very dark shade of brown, which I am really loving. And now I'm doing the textures of the trees with the stippling effect. Make sure when you're doing the stippling effect that those textures do not merge into each other, so whatever color you have put in the background will not show up. Now I'm done with doing all the tree trunks and the branches, and I started doing all the leaves. One thing about Impressionism is you do not have to do too much detail. As long as you can get an impression of how it's supposed to look like with the different shades of colors, that's all you need to do. And just remember that you still have to do lots of different shades of green and make them yourself. You see, I am doing the shadows with the darker shade of green, and if the top part of the tree might catch more sunlight, so I might put a lighter shade of green at the top, and at the bottom I'm going to put a darker shade of green. Mix a lot of blue with your yellows or blue with your green, and you will get a really dark shade of green. The other thing I'll tell you is don't forget to do the shadows. The trees might be casting the shadows on the grass, and there the grass will look darker. Have you noticed that in the background the trees I'm making are with red? I'm loving it. I'm experimenting with some colors that is not usually found in nature, but in Impressionism it's an impression that the nature gives you. Oh, I also finished my mountains, which are shades of purple, and I'm going to put some blue shadows in them too. So you can see I am making the grass underneath the tree darker, so it's casting a shadow, and whichever part has sunshine, I'm going to have those as lighter areas. Also, you can try making the shadows a totally different color. That might put an element of interest in your artwork. I'm also leaving a lot of white paper showing through my stippling colors, because that is desirable. I mean, in watercolor too, I'm not filling up every part with colors. Here is my finished watercolor. You will see at the back I have made a little bit of mistake by putting too much water on the path, and it has made a mark. So make sure you have a paper towel handy so you will not end up with such pools of water. So now I'm going to show you how to create a same picture with a dry pastel. So you will see it's a little bit a different medium, so I started off from the front, and you can start out with the darker colors. It's not like as if you have to start off with a lighter shade and slowly build it up with the darker colors. Here you can go back and forth with all the different kind of colors. I am putting the side of my oil pastel so I can cover up the blue, and it got messed up. So I am just trying to clean up the oil pastel before I can start coloring again. See, I have the paper towel handy. So yeah, I'm almost done with this artwork too. And here also I did not do the background first, but I did the details in the front, whatever happens in the front, and then I'm filling in the gaps with the background color. So this way it's a little bit different than the other technique. But here too, the strokes are like stippling strokes, short strokes, and I am using pure colors and I am building them up the way the watercolor was built up with lots of layers of different color. Here also you get to use layers and layers of color. Actually, I think this one is ending up looking more like the Impressionist technique. And I have used a darker shade of green or blue. Here also I've used pure colors. Try pure colors and see how it takes you. I've used blue on the branches on top of the brown. I'm using yellows and blues on the grass. I've used darker shades of greens and blues in the background, and I've used lighter shades in the front. So here is my finished artwork. Let me know what you think. Happy creating!